Welcome back to Get a Grip on Lighting. On today's show, we have the original gangster. That's right, Greg. We got Alan Karen from Satco is here, the gangsters of lighting. And we're going to talk to him in a minute. But first, Greg, you know what we got to do? We got to go to
I do.
satco.com. That's satco.com for the original gangsters of lighting.
Hey, you should do that. You should do that all the time because they have everything and because they're the right people. They do the right thing. They do the right thing. That all that stuff. Satco's got. And you have a portal now, Alan? Come on, that portal's awesome.
We do have a portal. Very, very, very excited about the portal in phase one. So it's come a long way, and we've got some great feedback from our distribution partners. Just having access to inventory pricing and a lot of other information about our company and our line and our the extension, new products, etc.
And you got to remember that Satco is a long time supporter of the distribution channel, long time supporter of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. In fact, I think Alan was at a conference before either of you, Greg and I were at a conference. And they'll probably
Absolutely.
going back to the 90s or something like that. So, guys, check out Satco, the original gangsters of lighting. You're probably going to be listening to this while the convention is going on. So, if you're listening to this and you have light bulbs in a warehouse, where are you? How come you're not at Nailed? Like, this is where for people that have light bulbs and light fixtures in a warehouse and they sell them on the counter and they sell them over the internet on Amazon. We sell everywhere because we're lighting distributors on the phone, in the field. That's right. Alan Karen, welcome to Get a Grip on Lighting.
Thank you. Good morning, Michael and Greg.
Good
Thrilled to be
morning.
here again. Very excited.
Always fun to have you. I was at the airport yesterday. I was with Mike. We were at a trade show. We just crossed paths or missed you and while we were there for ArcLight. But as I was boarding or about to board, they called up somebody's name and they gave them a special package and said they flew 1,000,000 miles with Delta and they got this award or whatever it was. I don't know. And everybody clapped and all that. How many miles have you flown?
Well, how many miles have I flown, or how many have I flown with Delta?
Let's go with
I have,
Delta
I
or
have, I have,
flown.
I don't know if it's something to be proud of, but I do have seven figures on multiple airlines. I have a couple of million miles on
Multiple.
Delta.
See,
Listen,
that's
it's
crazy. And
part of my responsibility in overseeing the sales for Satco is to be in front of people and working with our distributor partners and looking to pioneer a new business. And I missed you for a day because I actually went to check out ArcLight in Dallas. We exhibited a few years ago and didn't this year, and just wanted to get a feel for what was going on there.
no, that's good. And in the age of Zoom and Google Meet and Teams and whatever else, you're still running like a wild man, seeing people in person.
I
That
just
important.
feel that absolutely the personal touch is, I think, a differentiator for our company, and I'm just going to keep doing it. It's worked pretty well so far, so I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about what you bring. That's different is that personal touch, and I try to do as much of it as I can in my business. Lighting distribution is regional to some degree. I mean, there are some nationwide ones, but you need to see the people a lot of times, and like that's the first thing when I get an online inquiry. Rather than like email them and try to get something going, I say, I'm coming to see you this day, this time. Let's talk face to face. It doesn't always work, but at least I think it's a better start. So thank you for teaching me that, Alan.
No, well, oh, you're welcome, Greg. I think it's a great part of our, the beauty. One of the beautiful things of our industry is that relationships and developing them create the loyalty, and it still matters in the lighting industry.
What I love about Sadco, and what I think a lot of people, you have to have deep roots in lighting to understand what I'm about to say. So if you have deep roots in lighting, Sadco's position of having lots of conventional light sources in stock, lots of LED options, is they understand that distributors get all different kinds of requests and they need support. And that's where I think Satco comes in stronger than any other lighting company in not, you know, telling a distributor, hey, you know what, why aren't you doing LED with that customer? You can do that, like interfering in the sale. And stuff. Satco just has the stuff they have. It's at good prices. And if you need a box of F32T8 841Ks, you can get it from Satco without a lecture. You just get the box of bulbs and you sell it to your client. Because sometimes, hey, who are we to say? And that was Alan's line. Who am I to say what people buy? And I think that's such a wonderful position at Satco. Very, very humble and also a great company. Guiding Light Award, before we move forward, you're the recipient. Your boss, Billy Gilden, was the recipient the year before for the H Foundation, where you received it at the Goombay Bash. Tell us quickly what that award is about and why it's important to you, Alan.
So Michael, the H Foundation has been around for 22 years, and I've been supporting it. And Satco's been a main supporter of the organization since its inception. And it started out as a fundraiser in an office. It was five people that got together that worked for a lighting showroom. One of them, a couple of them owned a lighting showroom, and then it was other friends within the LaGrange, Illinois area that all got together. A lighting rep was in it as well. And their first fundraiser was in an office, then it moved to a warehouse. And 20 plus years later, it fills up the ballroom at the Navy Pier. It sells out 1,500 people. In the 22 years, they've raised $13 million. They
Wow.
raised $1.2 million in July this year.
Mm,
But the even more incredible thing is that they've gotten grants for over 280 million.
wow.
And I don't know the financials of the H Foundation, but for the first probably 15 years, 100% of all donations went to basic cancer research in Northwestern, and I would probably tell you like 99% of it probably still goes there. So there's a lot of donated time and a lot of effort, and they got a doctor that heads it up. That during the fundraiser in July, gives a short speech and gives everyone his cell phone number. And if they have a problem and questions on cancer, he will take your call.
Wow.
So it's just, like regular people, like us, did
Yeah.
something incredible. And just real quick on a side note, one of the reasons, other than supporting the foundation, that I did receive the award, I did go through a battle with cancer last year.
Mm.
So I had a blood cancer lymphoma, but thankfully it's a very curable cancer. Went through treatments, didn't really have an issue losing the hair. So
Already
just
gone.
saying.
I love your haircut,
Um,
Alan. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
no, Michael, it's sometimes I think I'm looking in the mirror, but yeah. So yeah, I went through my treatments. I rang a bell. I feel great, and I'll continue to support the H Foundation, and try to find more treatments and hopefully a cure. Because unfortunately, cancer affects everyone.
Hmm.
So thanks for the thank you for mentioning it and giving me the opportunity to talk about the foundation.
I want to ask you kind of a tougher question. Okay.
Yeah.
So and this is about lighting. So, as we've gone through the last decade, say, or more than a decade of change in the lighting industry, and we've seen a lot of leadership evaporate. I think that's the best way to put it, Greg. Did it evaporate, kind
Yeah.
of? And I feel like Satco is getting pushed into more of a leadership position as a company in the industry. Do you guys feel that at all, or are you still trying to hide out like the OGs?
Well, Mike, the leadership, or when I first came in the business, I've been fortunate. I've been with Satco for 30 years, and it's the only lighting company that I've ever worked for. Obviously, I don't want to put you guys in an uncomfortable position. The best lighting company in the world. But anyway, when I came into the business, and I didn't come from lighting, I came out of the housewares industry. I could remember calling on distribution, and they would buy from what people knew as the big three on the lamp side of the business. And we were fortunate as a company. We actually had strong relationships with two out of three of them. At some points we were in a category called OLM, other lamp manufacturers, and because our main business was selling to lighting showrooms, and those companies really didn't focus on that market, we had access to their products. So it was a very unique way to go to market, to have what they called in the day the major brands on the lamps. And I would say Satco, I don't ever want to say we're secondary, but we weren't necessarily the tier one supplier at that point. And obviously 10 years ago, and how the business has changed more dramatically than I would have ever thought, in certainly in my lifetime. And the whole lamp end of it has changed. And now more of our business is in luminaires than it is lamps. So
Mhm.
that's pretty crazy in itself. So, and
Mm.
there's a lot of changes. Just to share real quick, and I think you've seen from the amount of podcasts that you do and interviews that you do, there's probably a bit more competition in our space today because the lamp manufacturers have gotten into becoming lighting fixture manufacturers. And with the requirements for DLC, everyone's trying to meet those requirements. So there's some overlapping products out there. Energy Star has basically sunset on the lamp end of the business. It does still cover and offer incentives on downlights, and then Energy Star is still sticking with the appliances and all the other things that they do there. But lighting basically has sunset for that. So yeah, it's a much different world today, and our business today is 180 degrees different from what it was from when I started, and from 10 years ago from the first inception of LED.
Do you feel there are still tiers of manufacturers? Because I totally agree. It was, there are tier one, there are tier two, there's a tier three. Are there tiers? What levels are there? And
Well,
where are you
I
guys
can
at?
tell you. Listen, yeah, are there tiers? There's definitely tiers. It's very interesting. I today we sit as a tier one partner to many distributors out there today. We do.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have some of those fixture manufacturers that have been around for a very long time out there that go to market a different way, from specifications, sales force, maybe just focusing on architects and engineers, etc. So I think that there's still certainly some levels. I never want to say we're at the top. I think there's always growth potential, and we have a lot of work to do and a lot of things in places that I want for us to expand. And years ago, we would only call on distribution. I think it's very important to make those end user calls and to work with those contractors and to get them educated and work on driving business. We're still, lighting showrooms have a very strong, very important to us because that's where we started. But so we want to try to bring business to electrical distribution and to lighting showrooms. Not just go there and ask them for the order.
Mm.
And we do play also in other verticals of distribution, but we're very, very well aware of that it shouldn't be disruptive to the electrical distribution or lighting showroom market.
Greg, do you remember back in the old days when, one of your tier one suppliers would refer customers to you?
Not a ton, but they did a little bit sometimes.
A
Yeah.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
That you would
Yeah.
get an email saying,
I
"Hey,
was
this
used more.
customer." Yeah, we. Are you saying Satco still does that, Alan?
We try when we get the leads. So just to share with you, we don't sell any national accounts directly. We do national account business. Everything runs through distribution. We are straight on. We've made that decision. It's just what our go to market strategy is. We're glad that we're a partner within affiliated distributors. We were within IMOC when that merger came together. At the end of the day, you have to make a decision that, hey, you want to support the distributor partner that is then selling to, whether it's a national account, a contractor, whatever it may be. But that's our commitment to how we do our business.
So, like, I like the way you presented it, but I think there has to be some sort of quid pro quo in there, because if there wasn't something that distributors were doing for Satco, you would sell direct. What is the value of the distribution channel? Like, what is it? What is it that your company, in working with the distribution channel, helps you succeed as opposed to going direct? Why do you like working with electrical and lighting distributors?
Um, it's just the model. It's the model we grew up in.
Mm.
I've seen there's a lot of other companies out there that make certain decisions. I mean, number one, if you're out there traveling and you're out there in the field and you're working with distribution, over my career, I would be calling on distributors, and you would get some feedback when a lighting manufacturer would just bypass and going sell direct. So, I grew up in it. I think the takeaway is that if you listen to the people that you do business with, and what their concerns are and what works for them, and tailor your business that way, and develop loyalty and work on that relationship, and obviously take care of problems, we're not perfect. That gives you some leverage. I think also, you talk about the longevity. Satco's been around 60 years. I've been fortunate to be there 30 years. I'm not even the long time guy there yet,
Mm.
you know, and that says something. So when you have the same people calling on the same distribution partners for that period of time, there's a level of I think we've developed a level of trust that the distributor feels, hey, we got their back, which we do, and that comes to Greg saying we do the right thing because we do.
That's right. Yes. And when it comes to that, and kind of what Mike talked about earlier with legacy sources and having that availability, do you feel there's going to be a point that you're not going to have fluorescent T8s? I mean, there's bans in 10 states. My state in
Yep.
2 months is
Yep.
going to be banned. So
It's
where do you
interesting.
stand?
I just reviewed that information yesterday. We have a vice president, Chris Siegel, in our organization that works with another gentleman, Daniel Katz, that stays on top of all of our legislation end of it. And the one thing, Greg, is us as a company, and I think being privately owned and our go to market strategy, we don't dictate to the market, we supply the market. Michael, you referenced that earlier. We
Mhm.
want to supply the market what it needs.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, Michael, you said, oh, you're selling those F-32 T8s. It's a little bit crazy. We still sell the F-40 T-12 CWXs.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I was gonna say
And
T12s, but I didn't want to. But yeah, I know you do. I know.
I mean, and what's crazy is, we have LED replacements for T12 linears.
Wow.
And we have LED T12s to replace linear fluorescent T12s. So you have, Greg. I think right now, we got 7 states banned. 2 additional ones are approved, and I think another 5 are pending right now.
Yeah, we need to do
So we
something about
still,
that. See, like Nailed, I think Nailed's going to do something about that. We have a few problems we have to get out of the way coming up, but state lamp bans are the stupidest idea ever. Whoever, like, Alan, this is just absurd to ban light bulbs. What it does is it weakens in-state distributors that are obeying the regulations and empowers out-of-state distributors to sell into that state. And
there.
you could come up with 10 reasons why lamp bans are stupid. And all this, to me, this is just dumb political posturing by people that know nothing about the lighting industry. That's what I would say. I don't know if
Well,
Satco would say that.
well, Michael, our position is on it. There's we don't create the rules, right?
Hmm.
But as a company, and I'm not saying, listen, I think there should always be fair trade for everyone, and I'm sure maybe you'll want to talk tariffs in a little bit, which is obviously challenging. Um, yeah, it's a lot to manage. We do deal with national partners. We deal with companies that have locations throughout the country, and then actually Canada has different laws or regulations that have been put into place, environmental fees and so forth. So the business, I don't want to say it's, I guess I don't know if I would say it's harder, or maybe it's a little bit more complicated.
Mm,
I still love the business. Also, listen, for us, besides the regulations end of the business, just think of this for a moment. Where 10 years ago, 98% of my business was lamps. And as a company, we had a great annuity. The lamp
sure,
burnt out and we were able to replace it.
sure.
Now, between advancements in technology, changes in legislation, um, our portfolio is completely different. 2/3 of my business is luminaires today. I do a more project business today, whether it's front to back of house. I mean, we've gotten into categories like exit and emergency lighting that because the business changed and we're more heavily projects, you have to have the products that can complete the entire project. So we can do front to back of house, interior, exterior. But the thing that just amazes me is, and I'm excited about it. I mean, we'll never saturate the market. There'll always be opportunity, but we always had this base, and
Mm,
that base is evaporated.
mm-hmm.
So what was stock and flow is now project. So to me, and distribution has to deal with that as well. So
Well,
you always have people.
this is why when people, Nailed was told, I'm not going to say which associations, but Nailed was told by other lighting industry associations that it's not a stakeholder in right to repair. And, so we listened to that. We thought about it for a bit, but that makes absolutely no sense. How could the people that stock and sell the components that is right to repair? So if you want to have a right to repair industry, you need lighting distributors. Nobody knows more about right to repair in the lighting industry than lighting distributors. I would argue that lighting distributors know more about right to repair than Satco does, or any other manufacturer for that matter. You know what I'm saying? And so we have all these challenges in the business that are being imposed upon us from the outside. The people that are making this legislation are not lighting people. The people making lamp bans, the people that are doing this, they know absolutely nothing about lighting. And I'll tell you right now, they have not contacted the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors for feedback. Now, I don't know who else they've talked to, but they haven't talked to the number one people that will support the right to repair, Alan, with
Right.
Satco. Like if someone comes into my office and says, I want to buy this lamp, sometimes they're holding a Satco lamp. And a lot of times I have a Satco lamp in stock for them. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they're holding a Sylvania lamp, and Sylvania doesn't make that lamp anymore. So I go get the Satco lamp for them. Right? Yeah, this is
Thank you.
exactly the same bulb. And, so the idea that we're not stakeholders, we should shut up and do what we're told by all these states and all these people interfering in a business that they know nothing about. Now, Satco can't do anything about it on its own because Satco works in the regulatory environment. But as an industry, this stuff needs to change. It's out of control. And, at Nailed, that's what we're working on right now is to straighten these things out. And we're going to do that, Greg, by amplifying our voice. So there's my little speech for you, Alan. But
Okay.
moving forward, think about the cost. You have a person that's full time trying to navigate all. Daniel Katz, I spoke to him, great guy.
Yep.
He's trying to navigate all these rules that are being set at the provincial level, at the state level, and how can Satco go through all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, much smaller companies, they don't even listen to that. They just keep selling into the market. And Satco gets punished because they're big and visible, and the smaller guys get rewarded. All of these rules punish compliance and reward non-compliance. We got to get that out of the industry.
Well, Michael, I can't dictate the laws that are put in there. There are valid. You have valid points in what you're saying, but we also, I have a job to do. I got to drive revenue, right?
Me too.
And people need lighting out there, and there's project opportunities, and Satco has over 425 employees, and we have families we have to feed.
Sure.
So we gotta follow, as a company, we follow the rules, always. We do the right thing, and at the end of the day, we try to be creative and come out with new product and get placement and be the market first.
Were the older products higher quality, Alan? Would you consider
Say that again?
if you go back to your 98% lamp days, okay? Let's go way back to the 90s, okay? And you're selling light bulbs over and over and over again into the same socket, right? Because Satco was the king of the secondary parts market in lighting. I would say that, Greg. Satco's like back originally before the LED boom. You guys were like the kings of the secondary parts market for lighting, right? Can we fill in the gaps and see if we can get some things going? Do you think that lighting was of higher quality back then than it is now
I don't
because it
know.
could be repaired?
What's interesting with that, I mean, Michael, the technology's come a long way. When I think of
Talking
when you
about
take
quality.
no, but that's what I'm gonna. I mean, if you take a UFO LED today, right? UFO
Hmm.
LED high bay quality product, compared to, I don't want to knock what was there when someone may have had some type of a troffa product that, with ballast and linear tubes and some of the recycling and the costs and, the mercury in it. I think the technology. Don't get me wrong. We've there were certain things that the legacy products did and operated. Your dimming of it, your more residential lighting controls and dimming, right? Worked easier and smoother. But I'm seeing, we just introduced like warm to dim product in LED. That's mimics what that incandescent and halogen bulb did when you reduce that dimmer control down to just a couple of percent. I think the quality is exceptional today. I really
But hey,
I
okay,
do.
let me
I
re- let
do.
me let me maybe guide you in a different direction here. Okay,
I know you're trying to guide me, but
what's the
it's alarming.
maximum? What's the longest life cycle possible for that UFO high bay? Is it 10 years or 5 years?
Well, I'm gonna, for us on that UFO, I will say this: we put a 5-year warranty on it.
Yeah, but when it
Now,
burns out, it has to be taken out.
you know what? Absolutely.
Right. So the 400-watt metal halide that was with evil mercury, it had evil mercury in it and all. Those things last 50, 60 years, bud.
They did, but they weren't energy efficient. I'm not, not to say there's benefits and
It's not
there's
energy efficient to ship fixtures over from China every 5 years to replace all the fixtures you had before. That doesn't sound very energy efficient to me. Depends on what kind of energy we're talking about, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I would argue that
Michael, I think
I
this is
think
going. This is a different discussion. No. I'm gonna try to pivot only because it would be a better discussion. Hey, I look at it from as listen. I could turn around and say, hey, LED lasts so much longer that I don't get the sale again, right? If I
Mhm.
don't get that sale initially, I gotta wait for new construction or renovation or for it to burn out, for the lumen output to depreciate 30% and so forth or whatever. I agree. That's why it's a different market today. But as far as the quality and the path you're looking to go down, I'd really have you talk to our product team, that has been in place
I
at
am not
Satco.
saying that Satco's high bays are not of high quality. That's not what I'm
No,
saying.
I
I'm
know that.
talking about the way the structure of the lighting industry works now, Alan. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
you,
it's
you
it's
can't repair
changed.
things. Yeah. And it's like, I
Mhm.
think that we're going to see, as time goes on, you're going to see that the life cycle of these products is 5 to 10 years. And that's going to be the cycle of fixture replacement. And we got to get out of our heads, Alan, that energy lumens per watt is not a meaningful metric. It means absolutely nothing to the actual practical lighting industry. But energy efficiency isn't just less watts. It's like the word sustainability. We have the lowest watts. That's what matters. I don't think that's true, Alan. I think that we're using a lot of other kinds of energy in a way that the old stuff probably would have been better in the
Well,
long run.
Michael, I listen. I think there's 50-50 on that because look at how far now controls have come. And so that's an area that as listen, you talk to both of you, speak to everyone within the industry, and many of us manufacturers are now into controls, which I never
Hmm.
thought we would be into. We have our
Sure.
own wireless mesh network, and at the end of the day, it ties into a building management system. It can
Hmm.
tie into it, and it can support daylight harvesting. So, you're taking advantage of the light that's coming in the room.
Hmm.
So they are trying to make these advancements to which are environmentally better for our world. I'm not an expert in that, but that's really the goal.
Well,
And hey, one last question I've got on it, Alan. Just you mentioned it
Yes.
earlier. Just to sum it up. Are tariffs still a thing, or do we even? I haven't paid attention
They
to it.
are. They
Does
are.
it matter? Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, there are. I'm going to tell you that we still have product being manufactured in China. And more of it leads to our Nouveau lighting decorative side of it because
Mm.
of the finishes and the styles. Not as easy to, LED today in a lot of these commercial fixtures and on the lamp end of it is more about really assembly, right? Creating great componentry and then assembling it. So you've had a lot of things. I mean, we've moved, a major part of our manufacturing over to Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia. We're working with Mexico, obviously trying to get in as many BAA and TAA compliant products, right? So the tariffs are there. The China's sitting at 55% today. There may be some changes in November on that. Well, it changes. Some's at 55 and some is less, depending on what the products are that we're importing, because we do import components, so we have different types of products. The lamp end of it has a different tariff level, and then you're looking at Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia. They're all now at that 19 or 20%. And at the end of the day, the tariffs, it's the American people that are actually paying that. Those tariffs are affixed to us when that product lands into our country.
The tariffs are a
So
tax.
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So Mike, I think the point of this talk and what Alan teaches us is to control what you can control. Some things you
Amen.
can't.
Yeah.
So let's just go out and sell.
That's
Thanks,
why
Alan.
he's the original
Greg, I like
gangster.
that.
That's why he's the
Greg,
original
good one.
gangster. Folks,
I
listen.
told you guys, we as a gangster, we don't dictate to the market. We just supply it. We're the reverse gangster.
We say that in jest, folks. We love
I know.
Satco. They're good people. Definitely not gangsters, but that's, everyone knows what we're talking about when we say the
I know.
OGs of lighting. Go to satco.com. That's satco.com. They do the light thing. They do the right thing. And it's true. I've been to their warehouse in New York City, and guess what? You know what was funny about their warehouse, Greg? It looked
What's that?
exactly like yours and mine, except way
Except-
bigger.
1,000 times bigger.
And Alan came to my warehouse, and we were walking around. He goes, "I love your warehouse." I said, "Yeah, isn't it?" He goes, "There's not enough Satco stuff in it." I said, "You're probably right about that, but I need to get."
Michael, I got lost. Your warehouse was so big, I got lost.
No, come on. But you know what? I did get lost in your warehouse, buddy. Holy macaroni! If you have light bulbs in a warehouse, that's right, and you're a distributor, you sell them over the counter, you sell them over the phone, you sell them on Amazon, you sell them on your website, you sell them in the field, you're doing projects, you're doing stock and flow supply stuff. The National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors is your organization. This is your voice, your crucial shield. So you want to join NAILD and go to NAILD.org. And right now we're probably at a convention having a great time. And why aren't you there with us? With your colleagues that sell light bulbs every day. And we're a pre-political organization. We don't have any loyalties to any political parties whatsoever. Everybody that has light bulbs in the warehouse is welcome to come and nailed and to contribute in polite and meaningful ways. So go to NAILD.org. Thank you for listening.